Okay, so with exchange rates, there are basically three things. We'll break it down into floating exchange rates, fixed exchange rates, and we'll link it to the current account. Let's start with floating exchange rate. So what is a floating exchange rate? It's literally just when... Actually, wait. What is an exchange rate?
An exchange rate is the price of another currency.
Good. The value of one currency in terms of another one. Yeah? Because you can't say that £1 is worth £1. That doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
So you say £1 is worth $1.5 or whatever it is. Now, a floating exchange rate is when this value of a currency is determined only by demand and supply. Okay? So floating exchange rates are when the value of a currency is determined by the forces of demand and supply. There are more smaller factors, but I've written down that there are only two main factors that affect floating exchange rates. So let's go through them one by one. So we'll say price of pound in dollars and quantity of pounds. Demand and the supply. Okay. So as we said, in a floating exchange rate, it's only demand and supply that can change the value of the currency. So we just need to know what two things mainly affect demand and supply for a currency, right? So let's start with interest rates. Imagine if interest rates fell. Yeah? What does that mean if interest rates fall?
It means that it's now cheaper to take loans.
Yep. Fall in the cost of borrowing and a fall in the reward for saving, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, normally when we do interest rates, we talk about the cost of borrowing. When we're talking about exchange rates, only talk about the reward for saving because because there's a specific chain of reasoning that links to the savings element of interest rates. So whenever there's a fall in the reward for saving, what do really, really wealthy investors do? Do they want to save or wait, do they want a really high reward for saving or a really low reward for saving?
A really high reward for saving.
Cool. And if you're really wealthy, do you care about the cost of borrowing?
No.
No. So they're after the best reward for saving in the world, yeah? So if there's a fall in the reward for saving, we would then say that there are going to be hot money flows.
Yeah, I was gonna say you move your money to another country.
Exactly. And the name for that is hot money flows.
Hot money inflows, no?
Sorry?
Hot money inflows.
In this case, it's going out, right?
Oh.
As in, why is it going out?
It's going out of the country to another country.
Why?
It's going because the country's exchange rate is the country's interest rate is low.
Good. They can take advantage of better interest rates elsewhere.
Yeah.
So then, so then, do you agree that people sell the pound?
Yeah.
So more people sell the pound and less people buy the pound. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Perfect. If more people sell the pound, does that affect demand or supply?
Demand.
People are selling the pound, you're supplying the pound.
Supply.
Cool. So will supply shift left or right?
Supply increases.
Good. And less people buy the pound, less people demand the pound. So what happens to demand?
Decreases.
Good. So now this is my new price. Okay, technically you can say Q2 is slightly adjusted, but it doesn't matter. It depends how much it's changed by. But the point is the currency has depreciated. Okay.
And the quantity doesn't change.
Yeah, well, you can say, I mean, it depends how much I drew it by. But yeah, the quantity by chance didn't change because they both shifted by equal amounts. Cool. Just for practice, let's do the opposite. What happens to the exchange rate, the value of the pound, if interest rates actually were higher? What would happen?
Then the reward for saving is greater.
Yep.
So the hot money flows into the economy.
Good.
So investors can take advantage, like foreign investors can take advantage of the pound,
Of the better interest rates.
of the better interest rates.
Good.
People in the UK will save money, and more people will buy the pound.
Wait
And
one second. More people buy the pound, yeah?
yeah,
And did you say less people sell it?
yes, less people sell it.
Cool. And then we do a diagram, which is not like essential, but you might as well because you've understood everything else. So you've got price of pound in dollars or whichever. If you're doing an extract or a question about a certain currency, use that currency. If not, give a hypothetical example. So now based on those last two sentences, what shall I shift? If less people sell the pound, does that affect supply or demand?
Supply decreases and
Nice.
demand increases.
Well done. And yeah, that's perfect. Well done.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
And yeah, like I could have done Q2. It doesn't really matter. The quantity is irrelevant here. But the main thing is you either do the same quantity or different quantity, but you do P2, and you call that an appreciation. Okay. So far we've covered the causes. Okay, and then we'll do the effects separately. A quick eval for this is you can say two things. You can say it depends on how much interest rates changed by. A small change won't do anything. You can say it depends on how long the change in interest rates are for. If it's just for a couple of months, no one's going to move around their hot money just for this. And we don't need to define hot money, by the way. It's not technically in the spec. It's just that idea that people will be able to move their money for best returns. And another one is you can say it depends on other factors, which is just what we're about to do. Yeah, like the stability of the country, inflation rates, confidence, but also what we're just about to do, what else can affect the exchange rate. So the second factor that can affect the exchange rate is exports and imports. The trade balance. So once again, there are two examples. I'll do the first one, you'll do the second one, then we're good with floating exchange rates.
And then we're done?
Yeah, we'll be done with today and we're done with floating exchange rates.
Okay.
So, wait, let me quickly just draw this. I'm going to duplicate it so I don't need to draw it again because I keep on doing the same
I have
diagram.
like exam brain.
Yeah.
Still.
But it makes sense, right?
Yeah, totally. Even with my lack of concentration, it still makes a lot of sense. So
yeah, I think macro is more logical. I don't know. Once if you understand it well for the first time, it's also harder to forget. But I don't know. We'll see. So let's start with this one. We'll say, okay, I'll say what happens if there's an improvement in the trade balance. Yeah.
If there's an improvement in trade balance, there will be more imports consumed.
Less imports, no?
Less imports consumed than more exports.
Good. So exports will increase and imports will fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we are exporting more, there's more demand. So we can say more demand for UK exports. That means there's more demand for the pound, right? Do you agree? Because how do you buy a UK good? How do you go to LSE or Cambridge? You have to first convert your money to pounds and then go to Oxford, right? Or Cambridge.
Well, it's like an online payment, but yeah.
Yeah, but you still have to convert your money, right? Either you'll do it or your bank will
Yeah.
do it without you
Yeah.
knowing.
Yeah.
Or if you go to Harrods on holiday, will you pay in pounds or will you pay in francs?
Obviously in pounds.
And that's an import, isn't it? That's a UK export, right? Because the
Yeah.
UK is selling a sandwich to somebody who's not from the UK economy. Yeah. So even the university thing or an online payment, for example, technically, if you pay me, you or the bank or somewhere along the lines, the money will get converted. So there will be a demand for the pound. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Now the imports thing, less imports. So less imports. This bit's a bit harder. It means less supply of the pound. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. So if I'm not importing Swiss chocolate, I don't need to buy Swiss francs. If I don't need to buy Swiss francs, I don't need to sell the pound.
Yeah.
Cool. So on my diagram, I can show both of those things. I can show supply decreasing, and I can do demand increasing. And I can do my appreciation. Let's quickly do the opposite. What about a worsening of the trade deficit?
So if there's a worsening, then I think it's safe to say that more imports will be consumed rather than exports.
Yep, less exports, more imports. And then how does that affect demand and supply for the pound?
So there will be more supply of the pound because people are buying the pounds to consume imports, and there will be less
Selling the pound
demand.
to consume. You wait, slow down. You said it right, but you rushed it. Slow down. So in the UK,
In the UK, there will be more supply of the pound
why?
due to people selling the pound to consume imports.
Good. More demand for imports means more pounds being sold or supplied or whatever. Good. And then less demand for UK goods. Less people want to come to the UK on holiday. Less people want to go to UK universities. Less people want to buy British cars. So then what will happen?
The demand for the pound decreases.
Good. Less demand for UK goods and services. Less derived demand for the pound. Okay, and then same idea. You just draw a lower demand and a higher supply. And then yeah, again, the quantity technically it doesn't matter if it's there or there. The point is there was a depreciation. So now you know all the causes of currency fluctuations in a fixed exchange rate.
Can you share this with me like now? Can you like send me the link?
Yeah, I can. I also have it written down on notes typed. I'll show you, then you can take whichever one you want.
Or can I please have a share of this?
Yeah, is a screenshot fine, or do you want the actual document?
And I I have the actual document. Like, just add me in,
Can you
and I'll
give
just.
me? Can you? This rough thing is weird. Can you give me a link and I'll copy and paste it into your link? And then what we'll do
Perfect.
next time, we'll do fixed exchange rate, and then we need to do one more thing where we weigh up the advantages and disadvantages of both, and then we're done with exchange rates. Okay, cool. So today we're going to start with fixed exchange rates. A fixed exchange rate, we talked about exchange rates last time. It's when it's the value of one currency in terms of another. I've got the value of the yuan in terms of the dollar, and the value of the dollar in terms of the yuan, okay, the Chinese
Yeah.
currency. Now,
Yeah.
fixed exchange rates are exchange rates where the value can be determined by the
By
central
another
bank.
currency.
No. The central bank will determine them. Yeah. So all we need to understand, when we did floating exchange rates, we talked about how interest rates can affect the exchange rate, appreciate and depreciate the exchange rate, as well as imports and exports, right?
Yeah.
With fixed exchange rates, the central bank will control the value of the currency by using two ways. That's all. There's just two ways. If you remember the two ways, it makes it a lot easier. Way one is buy local, sell foreign. I'm talking about the
So they
currency.
buy government bonds. Or
No,
what?
no. They buy the local currency, more of it, using
Okay.
the foreign reserves. So Chinese central bank, they have all these dollars, yeah?
Yeah.
And they have all these yuan. I don't know how to write it. I'm just going to write Y, yeah?
Yeah.
They can buy more dollars.
Yuans.
Yeah,
Dollars.
well, they can buy more dollars, or they can do the other way. They can buy more yuan, yeah? But basically, whichever one they buy or sell, I'm going to show you properly, will make the currency go up or down relative to the dollar. And that's what they always want to control. They want to make sure the yuan is always low enough for Americans to buy Chinese products.
Yeah, because then if they buy Chinese products, they will be able to consume more Chinese exports, so it's better for them. And
Yeah.
also could I say that also by making making sure that the dollar is more expensive, they will also keep a balance account surplus.
Yeah, current account surplus.
Current account surplus,
Or
because
trade
they will
surplus.
consume
Yeah.
less imports.
Yeah, good. But just for firstly, we're gonna come to that about the why. We just need to get through the science, the mechanism behind how they do it. After we do it, we'll look at the all the advantages and the link to current account. But first, we just need to get through the mechanism. So don't worry right now about why. Yeah, but you
Okay.
are right. Okay.
Yeah.
So take this situation. They can buy more yuan.
Yeah.
And they would be at the same time selling more dollars.
Yeah.
Or they could buy more dollars while selling more yuan. Yeah? So let's see what each of these things does. So option one, if you buy more yuan, therefore demand for the yuan is going to increase, isn't it?
Yeah.
When they buy more yuan, they are going to sell the dollar, right? So they're going to say, look, I've got all these dollars, I'm going to chuck them on the market and buy someone's yuan up. So now someone on the market has dollars, so the supply of dollars will increase.
Yeah.
So what happens to each of the currencies?
So the yuan appreciates.
Yeah, good. And the dollar depreciates.
Depreciates.
Okay, couple of keywords to get out of the way. Appreciation, depreciation, revaluation.
Oh, I know these ones.
Devaluation. Yeah, what's the difference?
So the revaluation is used by the government and the depreciation is by market mechanism.
Yeah, well, by the central bank, but yeah.
Yeah.
So use these words when you're talking about a fixed exchange rate, and use these words when you're talking about a floating exchange rate. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, what we've basically just done is we've revalued the yuan. Okay. So what would the other example be then?
For example, if you lower the price of the yuan in dollars, the yuan will depreciate. And if the price of dollars increases in terms of yuan,
Wait. Think about how to do it, not what.
So if you buy dollars and you sell yuans, then the price of the yuan.
Wait, one at a time. So we're talking about this, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
you
if
buy
you
more
buy
dollars,
more dollars,
yeah.
what will happen on the demand supply diagram?
If you buy more dollars, then demand will increase.
Yes. Good. And at the same time you're selling more yuan,
so the supply of yuans will decrease.
are you sure?
No, the supply will increase.
Yeah. Logically as well, right? If you just think about it, what are we trying to do? We're trying to devalue the yuan. So you want it to go down. So you'll know if you're right or wrong because it should go in the right direction according to what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So, and just one more thing as well. It's a bit fusty, but when you say you, obviously you will always say the Chinese central bank or whichever country you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all these things I'm talking about are reserves. So if you get a question about how you revalue or devalue a currency, or if you wanted to talk about it, just say the country's central bank chooses to buy X reserves and sell Y reserves. Domestic reserves, foreign currency reserves, done. And then you've got two different options. If you draw them side by side, even if you don't draw it and you just explain it, but make sure you say one currency, another currency, talk about demand and supply, then talk about the price.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Good. That's floating exchange rates done and fixed exchange rates done. Now we're just going to very briefly look at the advantages for both. So let's start with the obvious advantage of a fixed exchange rate. Or by the way, fixed and managed is practically the same thing. Fixed means it's very, very closely fixed. Managed means there's some room for movement, but you wouldn't have to specifically mention either fixed or managed. You would just need to talk about the idea of controlling the exchange rate. What's the advantage for China having a fixed exchange rate for them? You kind of already touched on it.
So if they have a fixed exchange rate, that means that they will be able to make sure that people consume more of their exports. Good. And people will consume less imports, which will lead to a greater chance of having a balanced current account surplus.
Good.
Where more exports are consumed than imports.
Good. So yeah, exactly that. They can have more control of their exchange rate. This means they have more chance of achieving a current account balance or a current account surplus, again, depending on their objectives. Okay. What's the downside of having a fixed exchange rate?
People will have less access to imports. And
wait.
Also...
No. You can't say that because that's the disadvantage of having a weak currency, but that's not the disadvantage of the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that
okay. So what was one of the factors we said that affects floating exchange rates are interest rates, right?
Yeah.
So the disadvantage of having a fixed exchange rate system is the central bank cannot control or change interest rates. So think about it. Imagine if the central bank meet on the first day of the month and they control their exchange rate. Yeah? Do you get it, where I'm going with this? Imagine if they meet on the first day of the month and they control their exchange rate and they make sure it's nice and low. Imagine on the second day of the month, another department in the central bank meet and they raise their interest rates. That would affect the exchange rate, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So there would be conflict. There would be whatever work and research these guys in the exchange rate department have done, the interest rate department will mess it all up. So basically, long story short, you can't have both. In the UK, the Bank of England change interest rates every single month. They don't touch the exchange rate. In Europe, the European Central Bank meet every month to change interest rates. We don't touch the exchange rate. In China, they meet to change or control the exchange rate. They don't touch interest rates, or they can't really manipulate interest rates however they want. So monetary policy is out of the question. Forget about it. You can't have both a fixed exchange rate and monetary policy. Does that make sense? I'm not gonna lie.
It's like a hard topic. I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. This part doesn't really come up. Yeah, genuinely. Actually, well, for the international spec, it comes up sometimes. Let me quickly check.
Yeah, it came up last year.
The good news is no. Fixed and floating exchange rate advantages, disadvantages. You don't really need to know it.
Okay.
But I still wanted you to go through it anyway. I want you to at least understand it, because you need to know that interest rates affect the exchange rate. So therefore, it makes sense if you're talking about a fixed exchange rate that, however, the bank can't control interest rates however they please.
Yeah, I think it's like because interest rates affect the exchange rate so much.
Exactly. So you can't do both things.
That you can't really do like both. It makes sense, kind of.
Imagine if I've perfected my exchange rate and you're my colleague doing the interest rates. When you change the interest rates, I'm going to be like, what's going on now? I have to do it. I have to change my exchange rate again. Yeah? Anyway, that's fine. You don't need to write about it. For Edexcel at least, most likely.
Thank God.
We'll double check exactly. But advantages and disadvantages of the system is not in the Edexcel spec. It just says you need to know about them, which is kind of vague. Anyway, floating exchange rates. This you do need to know about. Or at least it's very, very useful to know about for some essays. I don't think you will know this one, so I'm just going to tell you. The biggest advantage of a floating exchange rate is the current account will automatically self-correct, in theory. Yeah, I'll give an example. Imagine imports are really high and exports are really low.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen to supply and demand for the pound if we're in the UK?
If imports are really high and exports are really low, the supply for the pound will, so more of the pound, less of the pound is being bought, but
yeah, good. So go one by one, right? So low amount of exports means low demand for the pound, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of imports means high supply of the pound. We talked about this and you got it in.
Yeah, because supply, it is because they're buying more.
Yeah, exactly. So then what will happen to the pound?
Depreciate.
And then what will happen to exports?
Oh.
Cheaper, right?
Become less price competitive.
No, more competitive but cheaper. You used the wrong word, but you got the idea.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And then what will happen to exports? It will go up, isn't it?
Yeah.
And imports will go down?
Yeah.
So what happens to X minus M? Does it improve or worsen?
It improves.
Good.
And this is when you said to me in October that actually they kind of fix themselves.
Exactly.
That it's self-corrects.
Self-corrects.
Yeah, self-correcting.
Good. That's why most countries don't really care. I'll give you a really quick example. So, as you can see, well, it's not ideal, but if you look at this graph, you see that it went down by, it was 4% deficit, then it became a zero again, then it became a surplus, then it became zero again, then it became a deficit 4%, then it became a surplus, deficit, bigger deficit, correct, bigger deficit, surplus again, and deficit. So it will just go up and down. Obviously, the government will do some things to affect it, but for the most part, we can assume that it should self-correct, in theory at least. Yeah. Then finally, the disadvantage is just this. You can repeat this point. It's the opposite. Less control. Less control. It's actually the point you were going to say earlier. Less control against shocks. So oil prices went up, didn't they? Yeah?
Yeah.
And then imports become very expensive. So if you could swing a magic wand, you wish your currency was very strong, so oil feels cheap. So if China wanted to make their currency stronger, they could. But we can't, right?
Yeah, because they're not touching their interest rates. They're only
Exchange
touching their
rate.
exchange rate. But then
No.
they're
I meant
to...
no. I'm talking about the Europe or UK. We're not touching our exchange rate, so we can't make oil cheaper.
No, they're not touching their interest rates, so only their exchange rate, so they're able to make their currency more strong.
Yeah, but we're not, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I meant. Good.
Yeah.
Perfect.